You can build your career by being really patient and waiting in line at wherever you want to work for the next opportunity, or you can run into burning buildings. So there's got to be a better way to do that. It's like, unfortunately not. And so I started thinking about, well, that's interesting. I mean, there are a lot of garage bands out there. They have all got to have that same problem. And the venues are probably tired of getting cold called from people that they want to work and hire with people local community. And I've talked to some of the venues and they say, my hamburgers have to be consistent, my service has to be consistent, my place has to be clean, or else I'm going to get a bad reputation. And bands and entertainment are an extension of that. So I have to have a consistent product across the whole menu.
It doesn't surprise me anymore. I mean, the amount of talent in East Texas is underrated.
How can we embrace the local community art scene here and organize it in such a way that people can make a decent living doing their art?
Hey guys, welcome back to the Lightbox podcast, where we dive into the community members that are shaping the heartbeat of East Texas. Today we got Gary Larcenaire, former CEO turned community band, music, art formulator. I'm so excited that you're here and so excited about what you're doing with the Rehearsal Rom Tyler. So thanks for being on the show, Gary.
No, I'm delighted to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is awesome. So.
Great.
Gary, you've shared a little bit with us just about your past, CEO in healthcare.
Yeah.
Correct?
Behavioral
healthcare. We would love to know just kind of what does that look like? How did you get into that? What brought you to Tyler, Texas? And now you are running a rehearsal room for artists and really being the trumpeter and the leader in this city for art and music.
Well, one of many, but I think I found a place where I can be of service to the community of artists and musicians in this region, and so I want to help fill that as best as I can. There are plenty of other strong people that are taking leadership roles at venues and promoters, and recording. But I think we enter into an area where I think there is some unmet need and opportunity based on the feedback that I've had with venues and bands. But I started out at a young age as a caseworker, and I did 7 years where I would go into state hospital psychiatric units and get to know patients and try to figure out how to get them deinstitutionalized. So I would go in and meet with people that had been institutionalized sometimes 10, 15 years. And then do community-based planning, work with police and housing, and get people ready for them to come home, and then place them and then follow them into the community. So I did that for 7 years, and people with severe and persistent mental illness, with psychotic features and a history of needing lots of social supports. And so I did a lot of border work along the border of Texas and Mexico, and worked all throughout West Texas, or rural West Texas. And then did 10 years in El Paso as a CEO of the community health system there, and became known as a bit of a turnaround guy who could diversify revenue streams and stabilize systems that were otherwise, struggling.
Well, you were throwing into the deep end, from what I heard.
Yeah, well, a friend of mine told me, he was a mentor, and he said you can build your career by being really patient and just kind of waiting in line at wherever you want to work for the next opportunity, or you can run into burning buildings. And if you can put it out, then you're a hero. And if you burn up in it, well, nobody expected you to survive anyway. So that was his advice to me. And so I took that advice and I turned around some pretty large struggling systems, and I'm proud of what I left behind. And
how old were you when you started this?
Well, when I started as my first CEO gig, I was 35.
Okay.
I took on a $45 million budget with about 375, 400 employees in El Paso, Texas, and that was a turnaround. We didn't have much money in reserves left, and there was a whole lot of complexity that went along with that recovery. But I was there 10 years, and then got recruited to Salt Lake City, Utah, to take on their system of care, because they were, about their economic economic activity in Salt Lake during that time was literally just about to blow up, and a lot of community leaders realized that they needed better social services infrastructure for kids with autism, addiction. So we built out, we did strategic plans and built it all out, and then created diverse business interests that took them outside of where they normally were to stabilize them financially. Passed legislation. I passed legislation in Texas, and certainly with the help of delegation members and other advocates, but we passed legislation for soldiers with traumatic brain injury and addiction and all that, struggling after they came back from theater. So had a lot of success in that, and wrapped up my career as a CEO in I guess it'd be 2021. And then started doing some freelance work and trying to find my next passion, because really every chapter has been about being really, really passionate about what I'm doing, and just really jumping in with both feet and just trying to make a difference and improve communities.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
What were you passionate about in that career? What was it about behavioral health and being in leadership, handling these massive budgets, moving around a bunch? What drove you every day? What got you up out of the bed?
The clients. I mean, without a doubt, seeing kids and adults who have struggled to get into services, and see them improve and get better. I'm a bit of a data geek, and aggregate how we're as a team affecting community metrics that are important, such as jail utilization for psychiatric patients, recidivism rates, interrupting recidivism rates for people with severe addiction, keeping people in the community. We always had a mantra, and it was that there's phase 2 care. And they say, well, what's phase 2 care? Well, phase 2 care is anywhere you don't want a loved one to call you from. Jail, under a bridge, a homeless shelter, a psychiatric facility. Just you get that phone call and go, oh my gosh, an emergency room, and so we would get reports every day about how we were affecting utilization and penetration into those phase 2 levels of care, keeping people in the community, keeping them doing aftercare planning, working collaboratively with hospitals and providers to make sure that their emergency rooms weren't clogged up with people that were inappropriately there, could be served at a lower level of care. So lots of community partnering, collaboration, strategic plan development, all 3 branches of government, but at all levels. So local, city, so city, county, state, and federal. You're dealing with delegations, city councils, and all that. City councils, county councils, state legislature, federal delegation, and to get them all on the same page with a strategic plan with a board of trustees. So I'm used to doing community organizing. I'm used to getting feedback from disparate groups who might even have totally different perspectives and interests on how to solve problems, and trying to find common ground with strategic planning and moving forward in a united way.
Well, that's amazing talent that we have here now in Tyler, Texas. How long have you been in Tyler for?
I've been in Tyler. I'm coming up on 2 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, I was doing a short-term stint in Montana, and I met somebody who became very special and important, and still is to this day, in Montana. And I was wrapping up in Montana, and I didn't want to stay in Montana. I spent most of my life in Texas, and I wanted to come back. And so started talking about Tyler. Hadn't really been here. I spent most of my time in Central Texas and the Hill Country, and also in far West Texas.
Tyler?
I did, but only just tangentially. I didn't know much about it. I didn't understand it. And so when I came out here, I started interacting with people, and I realized that it had a Texas flair, but it also had a very Southern feel. And that was something that I really fell in love with very quickly. And so fell in love with the town and the people here. Got into a band very early on when I started here, because they were down a drummer. And Legal Contraband is the name of the band, and the band members are dear friends of mine that have become even more important to me over the time that we've played together. And so that really led me down this sort of, what am I going to be passionate about now? Do I really want to keep doing psychiatric work when there's a new generation coming up and they're doing great work? What is my next chapter? Where's my passion?
Yeah.
And
you've always been a drum player.
I've always been a drummer since the earliest days I can remember. As a kid, I've been a drummer, and so my brother who has struggled with psychiatric issues and over the years also taught me how to play the drum. So it's fascinating that I'm doing full circle now. I'm doing music, which is what he introduced me to, but then also I did psychiatry, which is something that I was hoping to help him out with because I saw that the system kind of failed him a little bit in Austin.
Yeah. Do you feel like drums were a way that helped him heal and deal with all of that he was going through?
Yeah, I saw
music,
that gave him an outlet for sure because he tended to isolate himself, and playing with other musicians really helped him. So, and I was the playing with legal contraband, and one day I complained to the leader Mac, and I said, "How come we're not gigging more? I want to gig more." And he said, "Well, go out and find some gigs then." And I was like, "Well, how do you do that?" And he said, "You just go knocking on doors, cold calling." I said, "There's got to be a better way to do that." He's like, "Unfortunately not." And so I started thinking about, well, that's interesting. I mean, there are a lot of garage bands out there. Yeah. They have all got to have that same problem. And the venues are probably tired of getting cold called from people that, so I started calling some important people in the community, in the music community, and asking them, am I seeing this right? Is there a gap in the system here that could be bridged? And really everybody said, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. If you can figure out a way to organize it, it would benefit everybody. So, with my background and training in going through legislative delegations and policymakers and state officials and all that, I thought I could probably tackle this, if it would be helpful to the community. And it's something that I'm very passionate about. And so I started, I got a little rehearsal space and started offering it to musicians, just one-off. Got a lot of really positive feedback about the impact we were having on their bands, and that they were getting more gigs. They felt more confident in their gigs. And so it just started to grow from there and launched into, we named it Rehearsal Rom Tyler because the feedback that we got from musicians across the state and even throughout the United States is we need one of those in LA. We need one of those in Colorado. And so, it could be Rehearsal Room Aspen, Rehearsal Room fill in the blank, wherever we see a need and artists want to rally around it. And what's been interesting is it's so much more than the music. I mean, we've become really a gathering place, a drop-in center, a community place for people to come and interact. More, some bands have been formed and changed since they came out. People have been meeting each other. I talked to somebody the other day who's been in the music business in this area for over 25 years, and she said, "You've introduced me to 5 musicians just this session that I've had with you that I did not know, and they're really good. And I need more musicians like in my bench because I need people that things come up. I'm missing a bass player for an event. I don't want to cancel. I need somebody who's good and reliable that I have good chemistry with. And you're giving me that opportunity to drink coffee and have donuts with them and hang out with them, get to know them." Maybe play an open mic with them, feel like we've got some chemistry on stage, then I can put them in my quiver, if you will, of backup band members. I mean, some of these bands need 3 drummers on backup, 3 bass players and others. They're playing all the time, and things happen. People get sick, parenting, life takes over and somebody can't make a gig. Well, they don't want to cancel for the benefit of the venue and the reputation of the band. They want a backup. And so creating an organized way of having people up on deck and what does it cost and what's their availability and how do I book them? And so really, the process has become so much more than just rehearsal space. The rehearsal space was the original idea. What's really been amazing is the gathering and the community building, and
you feel
identifying
like it was something that
how
Tyler
much
really needed.
talent is in East Texas. It's just unbelievable. Like the guys that are coming in from Gilmore and from
That's so the truth.
And
Though,
the variety too, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've been here for 10, 11 years now, and I feel like every year I'm learning about, this guy came out of Tyler, Texas, and these guys play out of here. And, she grew up, and it's just like, wow, it doesn't surprise me anymore. I mean, the amount of talent in East Texas is underrated.
Yeah. You've got bluegrass.
You've got everything.
You've got blues guitarists out there. You've got people that have moved here. I work with a guy named Tad Hillen. He's a fantastic and well-known guitar player out of Austin, Texas. And, he moved here for work and for family. and he's been kind of struggling to get into the music scene. Like, how do I get in? Do we go to a venue and then after the show, kind of fanboy the band and say, hey, I'm a musician. I'm like, well, they get a lot of that. So they're really nice to you, but they don't know you. They don't know how well you can actually play, if you're a beginner or what, or if you're really serious. And so that's a hard place to try to make an introduction into the scene.
Yeah.
So how
So
do
you're
you
bridging
get
that
into
gap.
that scene? And well, what we're offering is, this drop-in center concept. He comes out all the time, and we'll just be sitting there drinking coffee with a bass player that he's never met before, and it's really brought him into the community, and he's really, really grateful for that. We're grateful to have him as part of it.
How did you first discover talent here? I mean, you've only been here for 2 years. That it seems like to start something as fast growing as a rehearsal room, Tyler, in just such a short amount of time that you've actually been here. What was your strategy or was it just all organic and the artist just came to you and it just was kind of like the universe just brought everybody together? How did that happen for you? What was your
Mainly
experience like?
organic, and that's a really good sign for the need.
Yeah.
Because I threw a couple reels up on Instagram, started social media, and did some ad campaigns, and then just when people saw, got curious, went to the website and saw what we were trying to accomplish, come out for an event, get to know people, and realize that this, everybody says the same thing. It's like, I was really reluctant to come out here, but then the vibe was so just accepting and cool, and made me want to play. And I even left my guitar in the car and was not intending to play, and I'm going to go get it and play with you guys. And so then they tell somebody and they tell somebody, and that word of mouth has just been spreading.
Yeah.
And now we've got a lineup of session musicians that want to be available. We've got this thing that's coming up. People want to build a band. Like, I want to build a special band for this venue for this, and I want this artist that I've been jamming with at your open mics. We've got great chemistry. I like where we're headed with it.
What's a trademark like for Build a Band?
Yeah,
And
I don't know. We'll have to. Yeah,
And right now, you're super close to having a full build out where people could book these bands directly from your site.
Yeah, venues are frustrated too. I mean, they want to work and hire with people, local community. And I've talked to some of the venues, and they say, my hamburgers have to be consistent, my service has to be consistent, my place has to be clean, or else I'm going to get a bad reputation. And bands and entertainment are an extension of that. So I have to have a consistent product across the whole menu.
Really?
And so if I've got somebody cold calling me and I like them and I want to do business with local people, but they don't have an EPK, they don't have any experience, they say they're good, I've got some really rough iPhone footage, so I take a risk with them, book them, and then they don't sound very good, they don't have good stage presence, they're shy. I don't know what to do with them. I don't want to just shut the door on them, but I don't know what to do with them. Well, now you can say, hey, look, I'm not shutting the door on you, but you need to go to the Rehearsal Room Tyler and tighten up, get you some reels out there, get an EPK so that I know what I'm buying here. Get yourself up on the website, and then I'll book you when I see that you're ready.
Yeah. Well, we're really excited to also partner with you in doing a lot of these recordings, filming some of these EPKs. I think, I don't know, when you first approached us, we were excited because, I'm a percussionist. That's how I grew up with that.
Awesome.
And,
you need to come
there
out
was
to an open mic.
There was some synergy there.
Yeah.
It was in the rap scene and break dancing and in Miami, but he surprises me all the time. He's just
Seriously.
Like, hey,
I used to be a beat boy.
Oh my gosh. Well, we need to throw some cardboard down
Right.
there and just see what you can do.
I love it. I still got it. I've lost a couple pounds, so I can move a little faster
go.
now.
Let's
I
go.
need to do the same thing.
But you've described the rehearsal room as by musicians for musicians.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean for people when they walk through the door?
Every single bit of it's been planned by musicians. I mean, I've been advised by some of the best talent in town. The cats out at Good Co., Keith Williams, Thayer, and Chewy Taylor, Eric Taylor's the drums. Those guys have, I just ask them all the time for feedback. What'd you think of that last session? What'd you think of this? Is there another need? Is there somebody else I should be meeting with and talking to? Riley Renee of Renee and the Strays has been instrumental in advising me as well. The feel of it, we burn incense and we have special lighting.
Yeah.
So it just evokes like creativity and a safe place to just express yourself.
Yeah, and I mean, you're inviting the community to be your creative consultants in a sense.
Yeah, exactly. And so they've put it all together. You know, I've gone to some venues, and I've gone to some venues out in the woods where we did festivals and stuff like that, and talked just with hundreds of artists about, and including painters and sketch artists and all that, of how can we embrace the local community art scene here and organize it in such a way that people can make a decent living doing their art, or at least be featured somewhere to where people that are local that do want to buy some local art actually can have a central repository and say, I want that image, I can buy it here.
Well, and I think that's exactly what it needs, because, you know, we've been in the scene, and I mean, we're considered creatives. We have a creative agency here at the studio, and so we get a lot of artists, and we're involved in a lot of that community, and have been ever since we originally came downtown to put our studio. And we've seen so many amazing artists come and fizzle out and just lose all their steam because there's not structure. And what I love about what you're doing is you're coming from a background of, hey, I'm a business guy, I'm an entrepreneur, I know how to lead people, I know how to take a product and move it forward in the market. And being fresh here, I just think that you have so much momentum under you that this is going to just absolutely take off and kill it.
I hope so, but because it really will benefit. You know, I love that the city just got that designation of being music friendly. I think that's really important. There are some great venues here. It's growing. And I see this as, you know, I grew up in Austin, Texas, and that was during Stevie Ray Vaughan coming out and all the blues happening around that scene. You know, Waylon and Willie were down there, so you had a country scene as well. And it's you know, Austin is still a vibrant music community, but it's totally different than the community that I grew up in. And East Texas reminds me of where Austin was back then. And with the economic trajectory of this region, and all that it has to offer, I mean, you see all the construction, everything, entertainment and venues, they're going to need more consistent products. And bringing musicians out through national brokers is certainly an option. And you're going to get top tier talent. You're going to pay a lot of money for it, but that money's leaving our economy. And what I want to do is keep that money circulating in the economy. I want to do partnerships with local music stores, not national chains. I want to do partnerships with local t-shirt printers, not nationals, you know. So anytime I can avoid going outside of the Tyler economy to buy something, I do.
Yeah. Well, the talent is incredible. We had the opportunity to go film some at the rehearsal room, and with some of the bands there, and you know, going in, it's like, well, we don't know really what to expect, but wow, these people know how to play. It's incredible. It was, we were there with the cameras jamming out too. Oh, yeah. You know, it was,
we featured, that was such a delightful night. Y'all did such a good job. I mean, we had the smoke in there and everything else. I mean, it was just, the lighting was amazing. It was pretty incredible. It was a great night. You know, we featured Meredith Crawford and Chris Rasco. They did it, and then Westmoreland and Keys did just an amazingly soulful rendition of one of their originals. Good Co. just rocked it out, and of course Renee and the Strays just killed it. And you know, I'm just looking forward to unveiling that beautiful work during our red carpet event, you know, in October, and featuring the work that you guys put together, and get these bands excited about. Holy cow, that can happen. We could have our band do that. You know?
And it's an incredible, like, you know, you could play good, but there was a sense of showmanship as they were playing that you know, I was like, wow, this deserves big venues. This deserves to be out there. I'm so
incredible. Glad you saw that, you know. And the other thing too is, like, if you're a kid, you know, and you want to be a rock star one day, you know, we're developing a mentoring program with these artists that want to work with a kid who's trying to figure out, like, what is it to have that charisma on stage? How did you do that? How did you learn that? You know, and really get the musicians that have been in the scene for a while and have a pretty polished product working with younger musicians to help them gain that confidence and be more stage ready. Because you can have somebody who's great in their basement, but you put them in front of other musicians and they struggle. They don't know how to read the room with the other musicians. They're not sure of their stage presence. They can be kind of tight. So they need to come in, do some rehearsals, get with other musicians, do some open mic night, really stretch your craft, you know, stretch your boundaries, put you in an uncomfortable spot for a little bit. in a very safe environment, and help you polish up and get tighter. And, just me being in there working with these guys, and a lot of times I'm not playing the drums. I've got drummers that are far better than me. But I'll tell you, just watching these drummers interact and play has improved my drumming considerably, because for the longest time, I was a CEO that had a basement studio, and I just jammed with headphones and to recordings that, that everybody else listens to on Spotify. Yeah. So it's made a huge difference in me. And so I would encourage parents to say, like, if your kids are still dealing with some isolation from COVID and all the effects of that, and you've got a lot of kids playing music in their basement and they really need to get out and socialize, this is a great place for them to come out, and it's a safe place to meet people and interact with other musicians and improve their craft.
Man, I love
it's amazing.
That.
We're super excited for
I'm
everything.
thrilled that we found each other, and a big shout out to Nemo for introducing us and bringing us together. And and so
well, if you want to plug in the social medias,
but before I'm just curious, because I don't know the story. I want to know about Jackie, the mascot.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Sure.
Well, tell us the story behind that.
So Jackie is my grand dog.
Okay.
One of them. I have
two.
I have two rather famous grand dogs. One of them is called Winston the Traveling Dog. He has his own Instagram account. He lives in Manhattan, and he has more sky miles than most business professionals do. He flies in planes all the time. He's a big golden retriever, and he's well behaved. He's about 9 years old now, so he's got this active Instagram account. My daughter manages it, and it's hilarious. We just have a great time with it. And then Jackie the shepherd is her Instagram, and there are pictures of her everywhere. But we were trying to come. So my youngest daughter, who has Jackie, is her owner, is studying for law school, wrapping up at UT Tyler, and working full time for Tyler Independent School District. So I end up being the granddad who's taking care of the grand dog quite a bit. So she was out at my studio all the time, and these musicians would come in, and she'd kind of growl at them a little bit, and then get to know them. And then a couple times they come out to the studio, and then we've got protective ear gear for her so she can watch them and her ears are protected. And then I took her out to a venue out at the Forge in Ben Wheeler, and she was sitting there with her headphones on in front of the stage, and she looked up and saw Goodco and just started wagging her tail and greeting them at the stage. And she's just this huge fan, so we made her the mascot. She kind of calms people down, because they'll come in with a little bit of anxiety, because it's their musicians, and they're going there and they're vulnerable, and she is just like an emotional support animal. Yeah. She's a rescue, so she's got a little bit of trauma from that, but she's really well adapted now, and has become a great door greeter. And in my studio I have Furbos, and so the Furbos are designed through AI to find animals, and the exception is people. So it's designed to ignore the people and find an animal in the room and follow the animal. It certainly documents people as well, but its emphasis is on where's Jackie.
Was this like a little camera thing?
Furbo, yeah, you tell it. You take a picture of your dog and you say, like, zero in on this animal if you've got more than one, and do more than one. Awesome. But it'll tell you, like, Jackie's laying on her carpet right now, or Jackie's in the front right now looking out the window, and I'll just get an alert on my iPad, because I'll be in the studio, and it'll say Jackie's in the front room, she's barking. Well, I know somebody's here. And then it gives me these summary videos of her activity. It's called the Nanny Cam, and I can edit that and put it out online. So this is what our mascot's up to. It's just been a really neat thing. And so she's the one that's branded on the website. That's her picture. Of course it's touched up, but that's the original picture that we took of her. And so all throughout the website and all that. And then we thought it'd be kind of fun in the studio to have a neon sign of her, and sort of a cartoon version of her. And so in the studio, we've got a neon sign there. It really helps with lighting.
It's good.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a vibe for sure.
Yeah.
I love it. And well, Gary, thank you so much for taking the time.
Go ahead. Give us a plug.
RehearsalRomTyler.com, and then you at Rehearsal Rom Tyler on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. And so follow us there, and follow our stories. And the more eyeballs we have, the more followers we have on those social media pages, the more we can advocate and come together for local musicians. So I hope everybody will follow and do that and follow us and have some fun with it. Maybe come by, have some coffee and donuts with us on a Saturday.
Let's go. Thanks so much, Gary.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Take care. Bye, guys.